Okay, let's get started here. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to take a look this week at checkbox radio buttons. So, for this assignment, I'm hoping we can make a little photo album. I'm going to start a new project, and on this project, we'll go down here. My version might look a little different than yours, but it's pretty much the same. It's just a little bit older. I'm going to call this photo album. Okay, and I should end up with a blank form to get started. So the idea with checkboxes and radio buttons for this assignment is to make sure that we get a good understanding of the difference. So when I talk about radio buttons, they're kind of what we'd look like if we had multiple choice type questions. So whatever I select for a radio button, as long as they're grouped together, I'll put 3 on there. As long as they're grouped together, and we can put them in a group box. So if I go in my properties here, we treat them more like multiple choice questions. So if I pick radio button 1, then radio button 2 and 3 aren't or do not become options. So let's take a look how it looks right now. If I were to play this program or to run it, I have no coding behind it. If I click radio button 1, then number 2 and 3 aren't options. If I do 2, then 1 and 3 aren't options, so on and so on. That's the main difference between a radio button and a checkbox. A checkbox is just like a checklist. You could have checkbox 1, 2, and 3 all checked. They do come in handy, but maybe not for something like multiple choice quizzes or tests. So here's kind of how a checkbox would look. I could check all of this at the same time. With a radio button, I can only choose one of the options. So if I go back to my code, I'd like us to use radio buttons. And what we're going to do is make a very small photo album. And we're going to add a picture box to go along with these 3 radio buttons. So if I find my picture box, here we go. I'm going to put it here. Stretch it out a little bit. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was how do we use one picture box for multiple pictures? So we kind of looked, I think we've already discussed it, but if we haven't or we don't remember, um, we're going to, in the Solution Explorer, under My Project, you notice I click on My Project, and I'm going to get a chance to go to Resources. And in my resource this is where I can add photos that are saved inside my program. So I have some photos I'm assume saved on my laptop. We'll see what I have. You may need to go to Google and get pictures of family, friends, celebrities, anything you want, sports teams. But let's see what I have. I hit that chevron, I'll go to existing files, and I probably have a couple in here. Go on the desktop. I'm sure I have some St. Mark. There's one photo there. I'll hit the chevron here again. I'll go to add existing file. I need 3. So what do we have here? There's one of Mitchell Presley, St. Mark Tech Department. Go try another one. Don't ask me how I have all these weird photos. I just accumulate them over time. And here's a photo that says prom. So I've got 3 pictures, 3 photos from my resources. So I'm going to go back to my design, and I'm going to look at my properties window, and I want to make sure this picture box has things stretched. If you remember, there's a size mode here, and in the size mode, we want to switch it from normal to stretch image. So that's so you get to see the full image. It stretches, it fits the box, and everything looks good. So what or how do I code it? So when I click radio button 1, maybe radio button 1 then becomes, if I go to the text property, that is the prom picture. Okay, so radio button 1, I'll change the text to prom. So when we click on that, we want the prom picture to show up in the picture box. Radio button 2, We're going to call that one Marv. That's Marv Levy, was a Buffalo Bills coach long time ago. And radio button 3 will be St. Mark Tech. We'll call that the St. Mark Tech logo. So I've got 3 radio buttons. If they click on Prom, I want Prom to show up in the picture box. If they click on Marv, I want Marv to show up in the picture box. And if they click on St. Mark Tech, I want that one to show up. So how do I do this? How do I code this? It's not too bad. It's about 1 line of code for each one. So I'm going to double click on Prom. It's going to get me to my coding window. And up here, it's asking me, what do I want to happen when radio button 1 is checked? So when radio button 1 is checked, what I want to happen is I want picture box 1 dot image, the image property, equal my, this is where we stored it in the my resources, my dot resources dot, and then I get my 3 pictures that or items I have stored there. This is for the prom. Remember, radio button 1 was for prom. So prom. So I'll go to my design. Now what happens when they click on Marv? The exact same code, except picture box 1 dot image, which is the property, will equal my dot resources dot Marv. And then the last one, if you really want to save time, you can copy and paste and just change the end. But since it's 1 line of code, it's good to, and again, picture box 1 dot image equals my dot resources dot St. Mark Tech. So I've got 1 line of code for each. What do I want to happen when radio button 1 is checked? What do I want to happen when radio button 2 is checked? What do I want to happen when radio button 3 is checked? So if I test this and I debug my program, we're going to play it, see how it looks. So right there, we see radio button 1 dot checked. I see Prom is there. It's stretched, it fits. I click on Marv. I click back on Prom. I go to St. Mark Tech. Everything seems to be working great. So that's pretty much the code on how I'd like you to do this assignment. And we'll stop there and see if you can make your own photo album assignment by putting up 1 picture box, 3 radio buttons, and doing this code. Good luck and have fun with it. That's it for now. Bye-bye.